Hi, this is Kim. I'm coming to you today with a quick design team project for Country Craft Creations. I do want to say that one of the best things about Tammy's design team is that she has a variety of people who have a variety of styles. And so when you go to the Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations page on Facebook and you see the different designers and their projects, I think you'll notice, or you'll be able to look at somebody's work and say, oh, I bet so-and-so did that, because we all have a unique style. And so we kind of hit everybody's needs. I have been, I'm kind of known for a shabby chic style or a vintage style. I mean, I do all different types, but I don't know, I veer towards that type of project. So this summer have been looking through some of my papers and looking at papers I've purchased or received or got from Country Craft Creations that I haven't used. And I thought, okay, now's the time to use it. So in this super quick little junk journal, little junk journal, I am using the Blue Fern, what's it called? Birdsong? I think it's called Birdsong, that I got from Country Craft Creations. Now, this is not available anymore, but it's really easy to look at your papers and just grab what did I use? Maybe two 12 by 12s, and that's it. So let me just do a walkthrough. If you're interested in a tutorial, let me know. I mean, this is so easy. It would basically be just to kind of see the process I go through with layering and adding extra things. Everybody, like I said, has their own style. And so this is what I just threw together super quick. Also, I was going to sew around the edges, but when I started, I broke the needle on my sewing machine. So I put that off to the side. So my closure is just a piece of seam binding that I wrapped around a couple times. It's not attached, so that it's easy just to put off to the side so you can look at the things inside. So on the front cover, it's basically an angled pocket, and it has a pocket on top of that. And so inside I found some ephemera, and then I just put this together. This was from the paper collection ephemera, stapled on some old trim and roughed up, used my distress inks to kind of make it look old. And I figured you could either journal or add pictures of grandparents or whatever on the front and the back. So that goes in this pocket. Now, if you notice, I do have some little appliques that came from some fabric. I just cut those off and put it on the corner. I had a small piece of crocheted, I don't know if it was a tablecloth or what it was, but I just kind of slapped that on there. This is one of the Tim Holtz. They come in three, what do they call it? Like when you used to go to the mall and get your pictures taken at those little booths. I just cut one off with this girl in the corner, and then I put a bow. Okay, so that's the front cover. It's really small. It's not a large project at all, but I think you can get some bang for your buck on this one. So then this flaps open, and on the back is some ephemera that I, again, inked up so it would look older because it was white, and so I wanted it to look more old. And then I just actually printed this off the internet and stuck it behind. I figured either journaling or somebody else's picture behind there. The thing is, you can't add a lot of bulk, and I really like to embellish, but on something like this, when you want it to close, and I did not do any gussets. I just folded it and went with it. So with no gussets, you kind of have to be careful on your embellishments. So I kept folding it up to see if the things I was going to use would actually work. This piece is actually attached with some fabric that I just kind of made those into hinges. So this paper just sits in this. I use that as a stopper, added the bird here, and then I liked that because then you could see it coming out from the side here. Just added a metal piece because I like to use a variety of different materials, and then I have some leaf appliques and then just a little piece of seam binding tied into a knot. Okay, so then it opens, and I used some ephemera. I used this little tool, from Tim Holtz, the distress tool, on all of my paper just to make it look old. So it gets a little messy and it's a little bit time consuming, but I think it looks good. When I say all the paper, I mean the papers I use to mat. And then this is from the Tim Holtz photo collection. He has different packages with vintage pictures. Tammy has some in her store, left the back open. This was just the tag, and then I have an old hymnal that I just ripped out a piece. I don't know if you can see that. I ripped out a piece and just inked it up. I took a piece of this paper and cut out a flower and put on top of that, and then this applique of a leaf, and then I just stuck a bow you know, just a little bit of seam binding there on the top. Glued it on 2 sides. This paper was actually just the flowers, and I felt like the top needed something. So I went to another piece of paper and just cut out this trim, inked it up, slapped it on there. So I think it needed something at the top. So that's what I did. Okay, and then that just sits in there like so. So I added a pocket on this side. It's flat. There's no, you don't do the scoring 1/2 inch on each side because you need it flatter. Have some old trim up here. Again, I did the same thing. I just ripped out a little piece from the hymnal, inked it up, cut out a flower. Now this is one of the Tim Holtz photograph things. It comes in 3, did not cut that one apart. So inside the pocket, it has to be flat, and I kept folding it to make sure it would fit. I have these, I don't know where I got these number cards, and I just took out the days of my family's birthday. So mine, my husband, my son, and my daughter. So just tuck those in there, and just, you know, whatever you use. I could have moved this down further, but then I kept closing it. I didn't want to see it poking out, so I just put it in a place that I thought would hide when it was closed. And you can see that there is a little bit of space here so that these can stick out and there's no problem. So when you open that, it's a trifold, and this came from the collection, this and this, and I roughed it up, inked it up. For this picture, for this mat, I just took a piece of the Artisan and inked it. Again, there's that ripped paper from the hymnal. This is one of the Tim Holtz pictures that I inked around the edge, glued them all together, and that's what I'm using to tuck underneath here. And then I made a tuck or a stopper by inking up and distressing the flower from the collection. Okay, so make sure that they didn't glue them all the way down so I could get that in there. This middle piece, I just glued a piece of lace to make a pocket. These frames came from, I think it's a Simple Stories Heritage collection, and I just added some paper on the back so you could add a picture or journal because they were open, the circles were. I just arranged them inside of this pocket. Okay. With a piece of the ephemera, I made another pocket. Here's the hymnal paper. I cut this from, it was a collar, and I just needed a little piece, so I cut that. Inked it all up. Now behind here, there is, I fussy cut some of the paper, and I glued it behind that ephemera so that it's sticking up out of the pocket, but it doesn't get in the way, and it's, you know, not a separate piece that you take out. It's just glued there. And then here's a piece of the ephemera that you put in. And I did rip the paper up here to kind of make it look old and folded it over. Okay. And then the only other thing is the back. Some vintage trim, half of a doily, glued on an old button. There's the hymnal paper, did some fussy cutting. This is one of the Tim Holtz, the vintage pictures. And I again glued that to the underneath of the top of the pocket so that it's just for decoration and to keep things from flopping out. So she is attached to this pocket at the top. And then I just found these somewhere. I could add, I do have some of that twine that I could put in here. That would be good. And then just tuck those behind her like so. And then I just wrap this around a couple of times to keep it closed. So if you have pictures or if you journal, and I think, can I get that around one more time? For right now, I'll just tie it. But if you have old pictures from your childhood or from your grandparents or what have you, I don't have a lot. And so something small like this works best for me. So, and you guys, all I used was I folded a 12, what did I do? 8 by 12. Let me see. Yeah, an 8 by 12 piece of paper into thirds. I didn't fold it evenly. I did the measurements a little bit different so that, you know, it would lay better and you could get a little bit more bang for your buck. So that's that. I can do a tutorial if you're interested. Again, if you struggle with layering and using just kind of odds and ends and things that you think would be trash, they're really not. You can add them to your projects. So let me know in the comment box, and I appreciate you stopping by. I'm also going to add a picture of this to the Country Craft Creations, the Facebook group. So if you have not joined, go to Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations, answer the questions, and then they'll let you join. You have to answer the questions though. So, and you'll see a variety of projects from the designers, and like I said, a variety of styles to kind of meet everybody's needs. So, all right, thank you for tuning in, and subscribe if you have not, and I will be back with more projects.